Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for part number 3 of Dis Here Daily, where we're learning why BabyKnight makes us all a better gamer. And incidentally, it appears that BabyKnight is actually watching in the chat. Hello, BabyKnight. It was a pleasure to watch you stomp all the faces repeatedly at BWC and Lone Star Clash and MLG Dallas before that. May you smash more faces in the future. Hooray, BabyKnight! BabyKnight, super Danish power. I do need to fix this chair at some point. What was I talking about? That's right. We're looking at BabyKnight's PvT style, which we've seen, though there has been a wide variety of different builds, it still comes to this theme of getting up the Zealot Templar tech before we end up focusing on the Colossus tech. And we've seen BabyKnight use a lot of timing attacks. This 8-gate timing attack on triple base, this 3-gate timing attack on double base, and in this game we're going to watch straight defensive play out of BabyKnight using a very common transition, but still it's one that I think is, I just want to give BabyKnight credit for being the man. So let's go watch him be the man. This is one of the most powery, intensive builds that you'll ever see, and I would love to yet again note the simple structure of Terran versus Protoss right now. The 10-minute Marine medevac push is the big thing that you have to worry about. If you can hold on through that, then you're in a comfortable position as Protoss. Actually, I don't want to say that. I should say that is your #1 goal as Protoss, is defending that push. Yeah. So let's watch BabyKnight do that. I don't care if you want to go Robo, Immortal, Colossus, Gateway unit only. I don't care if you want to go for only probes. As long as you can defend that 10-minute push, I'm going to be fine with you. Oh, yeah. So let's go ahead and watch this opening from BabyKnight. We'll go through it somewhat swiftly, so that way we can get to dat dare questions. And then step right on back. Because we're going in fast mode, we're hearing all the sound effects layer on top of one another in a way that's oh loud. BabyKnight, not ashamed of his early expansion. No, he doesn't have any sort of weird inhibitions about it. He's just early expanding right straight in front of his opponent, and because he used the power of scouting, he saw Polt going for the early expand. No reason to be shy about it. He's going to early expand himself. Early expand right there. We have a Stalker, we have a Warp Gate, all the usual things, and of course an early assimilator. Now, BabyKnight, if he so desired, could do a very light 3-gate pressure. I wouldn't quite recommend it on this map just because of how tight this ramp is. Maybe if it's in Toon Valley where it's a little bit wider, we see that having considerably more success just by a slightly wider ramp. So BabyKnight, whoa, what do you know? Going for 3-gateway pressure? Oh, yes. Well, I shouldn't actually say 3-gateway pressure. He's going for 3 gateways, which do not necessitate pressure. Generally, you get the 3 gateways up just to be able to defend. If he does some sort of surprise push, we don't want to die to surprise pushes. So BabyKnight will morph straight into the Warp Gate. And we're seeing the... Come on, BabyKnight, there you go. We're seeing kind of a typical structure of almost no units. Our geysers, when did we build them? We built them at about 6 minutes and 30 seconds, and I see no reason not to show it. So I'll just go ahead and show it. 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah. But what's cool is that BabyKnight is going to go double forge right off the bat. This is, I think, long considered the most basic by-the-book opening. I've seen a lot of guides for how to play Protoss versus Terran. Just go 3 gates, then for a Robo, and then for a double forge. Yeah. However, BabyKnight is going for a ridiculously early double forge. He actually got them in sync with these assimilators. We're getting the observers right away, and following shortly on the heels of the observer is... Where's the probe building? Where does he go? Where is it? There it is. Shortly on the heels of those observers is going to be the Colossus tech. Now, I will have you know it takes a minute to make a Robo Bay and a minute to build a Colossus. We're at 8 minutes. 1 minute plus 1 minute will mean that we are getting it right in time for that 10-minute push. Do you see that? Do you see why that's cool? Does this strike you as sexy? Is it clear why it's sexy? Let me say once again why it's just so sexy to me. Very often this is what happens. People will go for the Robo Bay right away. They'll go for the Robo Bay and they'll start building their Colossus, and they're going to say, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to be super safe. I'm in good shape. I'm totally happy. And then after that, then they get the forges. So their upgrades, they delay in favor of that feeling of safety and comfort. But BabyKnight, he knows numbers like a boss. He's going to go for the forges first, build this Robo Bay. As long as that goes down right around 8 minutes, even slightly before, we're going to be fine for that 10-minute timing push. Polt is no slouch. Polt is setting himself up. An excellent set of units. Polt is actually even moving out beforehand. But we're just not that worried about that first push, because this doesn't have medevacs. And hilariously enough, I'm actually going to note the production. Here's the production. Here we go. I'm going to come to the BabyKnight cam. Now watch this. This is the moment when most Protoss players have explosive diarrhea. They panic, they freak out, their whole world falls apart, they want to run to their diary and just be upset. But now watch BabyKnight boss mode. Let's build some gateways first. Yeah. How many units does he have? 4 total. Cool. Cool. And then he's going to start building units. Ah, cool. We really just don't need that many units for this push. BabyKnight leaves an observer there. Keep in mind, observers don't really need to be floating in his base. More often than not, you should be having them outside the front. But yeah, sweet. Bring it on. Look at that. Look at that. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, yeah. Not even force fielding. Oh, so good. So good. And of course, we build the Twilight Council while that's all going down. Great. Great. Total freaking badass mode. BabyKnight needs to have a lot of attention here. Once again, as long as we are starting our Colossus and devoting Chrono Boost to him, we're pretty certain that we're going to get that guy out right on time at the 10-minute mark. Why is this late? Because BabyKnight, I think, got supply blocked. Is that what happened? I remember watching this game and kind of going, Oh, that's right. He opted to build an observer first. No big deal. Again, I emphasize that 8-minute timing for this Robo Bay because it's so important to have that pop out at 10 minutes because medevacs will be popping out around 10 minutes. For example, I present to you medevacs at 10 minutes. So now BabyKnight can blast out these 2-2 upgrades super fast. Very often you'll see players go for extended thermal lance here. This is the suave modern transition, Insta-Templar archives. And this is the only Colossus that we ever will make. He's 30 seconds late, we're not concerned. This Colossus will be in time for this push. We're getting Zealot leg speed, we're getting our upgrades. We're getting some Stalkers, thank God for 6 gateways, so that way we can build Stalkers up here, defend the drop. We have the Zealots and our Force Field and our Colossus for attacks at the front. We feel so awesome. We're having a really fast 2-2. And because BabyKnight is made of balls, he's just going straight out for the expansion. I would strongly recommend that you do perform this, not going, I need speed and I need 2-2. You really don't. If your opponent rushes up, you'll kill off some units and you might be forced to cancel, but, you know, no big deal. And we'll be wrapping up our conversation about this in just a moment. The thing that we really need to note is that we're suddenly in a spot no different than what we were at before. We go straight for this storm. We start to get Templar. And when we're given the opportunity, we get extra gateways up. We have a lot of stalkers hanging out in the back. 3-3 can now begin at a stupidly early time. We're going to have 15-minute 3-3. And we were safe the whole time. There it is. The only thing that's missing is some gateways, so BabyKnight will soon be adding those on. Great. And now that we have 3 bases, 3-3, and Zealot legs, we can start being aggressive and move out and do attacking things. Oh, yeah. Wonderful. Lovely. Oh, one more thing I want to note. This is going to go into mass ×8 speed, which will likely cause all the frames to drop and cause all the deep pain. Yeah, you know, we are doing the defense against the drops and all that. When we suddenly say to ourselves, aha, I'm feeling good enough to begin going for Colossus tech, because you want both Storm and Ranged Colossus at the end. It's really easy to transition because you already have the Robo Bay done, and you already have a robotics facility done. So you just start pooping them out. And suddenly, BabyKnight is going to end up with a maxed army with 3-3, almost before 17 minutes. My god, he looks like he's playing Protoss versus Zerg. Hooray! Everything is working out for us. Now, unfortunately for BabyKnight, he is playing Polt, a guy who's won a GSL, so it's not as easy as just get Zealot speed, win. But we now have seen a nice defensive way to get up all of everything that we need to defend against that scary 10-minute push. We have the Colossus up to deal with hitting at the front, and we have 6 gateways up to do warp-ins at the back if he drops there. So great. We now have an excellent little methodology for that. And now it's time for some questions. As we end up doing all the question grabbing and all that stuff, I will once again note the summary of the day's transpirings in the daily. The overarching theme that we saw is that BabyKnight does a number of different techniques to soundly get to the Twilight Council focused tech. Speed Zealots, eventually Storm, and mega upgrades. In particular, the armor upgrades. In part number 1, we got the chance to see BabyKnight do it with kind of a meta gameplay, saying, generally my opponent is going to be early expanding here, so I'm going to try to get away with this triple Nexus pressure. Even though it's on a bad map, we saw this cool timing push with 8 gateways that allow him to buy time in order to get up the speed. In part number 2, we saw how to do these 3 gate pressures and then pop on into Twilight Council. In the first game, in part 2, we saw, oh, I can kill a greedy Terran player. And that's, again, this metagame consideration. Many Terrans are greedy now, so a lot of Protosses are returning to 3-gate pressure because it's a high percentage win early on. But in the circumstance that our opponent doesn't do it, we saw a second game in part 2 where Naniwa saw that QXC was being defensive, just built a couple of units, poked, did some damage, and instantly went straight for that Twilight Council tech. And what happened? It was all done at 10 minutes for that scary push. And then finally in this game, we got the chance to see BabyKnight go for a Robo and a fast Colossus. But we saw BabyKnight get the +1/+1 upgrades first, but still be able to set his Colossus up so that it could finish at 10 minutes if he needed to. Magnifique. Love this play. Many Protosses, I think, are relying now on all going straight to that Twilight Council. A lot of players feel like it's a little bit stronger, especially if you have just good management of when to build stuff out of your gateways and when not to. Of course, if you like relying on ranged thingies, like Colossus, keep doing it. I hear the Colossus is a good unit. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Yeah, so here we go. From HJax. Excellent question from HJax. Says, Day 9, what if the Terran player only uses his 10-minute push to contain the Protoss player while expanding and preparing to get Ghosts or Vikings for the attack later? That is actually what you want the Terran player to do. There is literally no way to stop a Terran player from doing that. The real issue, though, is that Protosses over-defend at the 10-minute mark. they'll get way too many units to be able to defend it. And they'll delay their tech way too long. And here's the description of a Protoss player who ends up losing to the 10-minute push indirectly. Indirectly, you go, oh my god, here comes the push. All right, I'm going to warp units at the back, and I'm able to build a cannon there. I'm going to get my units at the front. I'm going to force field, and I have all my observers positioned. So, okay, good, I've held it off. All right, sweet. Oh, crap, he has 3 bases, and he has way more units than I do. Oh, no, I don't have Storm. I don't have Colossus either. I don't even have a 3rd base. That actually is the worst feeling ever. I even remember my roommate, who was a diamond player, I was coaching him, and I was telling him, just manage to get past the 10-minute mark, man. That's all you got to do. You're going to be in great shape. And the first game he held it off, he was like, yeah! But he totally over-defended, and he died exactly 5 minutes later to a huge amount of stuff. So I think I would slightly adjust what I said about the earlier games today. What we really saw is BabyKnight not just have the defense at the 10-minute mark that he needed, but he had the right defense to be able to have a next step after that. And I think that is the key point. So thank you, H-Jax, for helping elicit that answer. But yeah, Terran's always going to be able to do that. Also, we don't want to die. It's really easy to die to an attack at 10 minutes. It's the quickest way to find out if there's a flaw in your build. It's kind of like in Protoss vs. Protoss. If you die to a 4-gate or even a 3-gate attack, probably want to readjust your build a little bit. I'm gonna make an attempt at this question from GN War, who says, Day 9, why specifically 3 gates and not perhaps a 4-gate attack? I'm trying to think if I can do an answer that's quantitative and not qualitative. Qualitatively, you'd say 3-gate is about the sweet spot where you don't have too many gateways, because if you have too many gateways, you can't make units. But if you build just 2 gateways, you don't have enough units. So 3 gateways is kind of like the sweet, juicy spot. So I'm going to try to get a little bit more quantitative with it. Especially if you're doing early 3-gate pressure, there's a combination of units that you want. You want, obviously, sentries for the force fields. You want zealots to be able to do the to of course deal a lot of the bulk of damage with the force fields, but the stalkers also end up being quite key. So you probably want a few sentries as quickly as possible. Then you'll want some probably leaning slightly more on the zealot side, but certainly probably about an even number of stalkers compared to that. So that's the kind of mixture that you want to. So what happens if you build a 4th gateway? Well, your first warp in round, right when your warp gates finish, you'll only really be able to get sentries out. You'll only really have the minerals to be able to get sentries. So then that warp in wraps up. So now we can do another warp in. You won't really have the money to go stalkers at this point. So you'll say to yourself, great, let me warp in zealots, or maybe 3 zealots and another sentry. And it's that warp in round after that warp in is generally where you will end up going for stalkers. Generally, if you're going 3-gate, you'll go for like 3 sentries, then 3 zealots, and then 3 stalkers. It's a very common look. But if you go for that 4th gateway, when that happens, you don't quite have the money to go for stalkers. And in fact, generally you'll see players be able to build like 2 stalkers. And maybe another sentry, but generally 2 stalkers, and they'll wait a little bit, and then build another stalker. And what happens is, your whole push just gets slowed down. There is that quantitative analysis. Ha, that ended up working a little bit better. Yeah, cool. Here's a cool question from how do you say that? Gopfensetti? Gopfensetti. My God. What a name. Of course, this isn't as bad as a life as Artosis experienced at GOM TV. We had questions from infamous people such as Bagely Bagel and Poop Feast 420. If you have not seen that YouTube video, go check it out right now of Artosis trolled on GOM TV. But Day 9, do you consider Warp Prism Harass viable against a Terran opponent? As a matter of fact, I do. Specifically, when a Terran player moves out at the 10-minute mark, he is banking on the fact that you, Mr. Protoss, are going to be on the defensive footing. And this means Terrans should expand and upgrade and build more barracks, while you, the Protoss, are just like, defending like crazy. Warp Prism Harass ends up being particularly strong here. And the game that I would reference is Quantic Sase versus Liquid Teja from the Red Bull Battlegrounds round of 16. Yeah, nailed that. It's on Ohana, and in that game, we see no 3-gate pressure. We see no early gateway pressure. Sase just goes straight for the Twilight Council tech, and but he's also able to get the Robo facility and get a Warp Prism there. And it's still the same logic. He has enough units at home to defend against that Marine Medevac push. But he also can swing around with this Warp Gate. Grubby has also done this a lot on Cloud Kingdom. He did it against MVP's Dream on Cloud Kingdom at MLG Anaheim earlier this year, and that replay pack was released. So you can find that game. Wow, my brain is retrieving information well today. So those are examples of that Warp Prism Harass being used quite effectively. Warp Prism Harass is quite bad against Terran if Terran is not trying to put pressure on you, or if you're not putting pressure back on the Terran in some other way. So for instance, like if it's like 14 minutes and the Terran player has by and large pulled back, let me see if I can give you an example of this. Let me see if at a time like this, you'll generally see a look like this at around between, I'd say, 13 and 16 minutes, where the Terran, his rally points, are close to his bases. Sure, he might be trying to do some drop shenaniganry against you, but his units are generally back by his bases. He's just gotten his third up. This tends to be quite a weak time to attack Terran because he can respond early on. Now, if you had a huge army like right here, and the Terran was like, trying to deal with your huge army there, yeah, sure, drops become strong. So in other words, drops will always be good, or counterattacks will always be good if he's really trying to get in your face and you're doing the counter drop, or if you are really in his face and you're doing the multi-prong drop, but just sort of kind of going, no, let me drop him on a whim. That can get you in quite a lot of trouble. Oh, another excellent game of this that's not timing-based but judgment-based is SKMC going up against StarTale's Bomber in the grand finals of the Red Bull Battlegrounds on game number 5 on Daybreak, where Bomber was pushing aggressively towards MC's third and was doing so for like the whole game. And MC managed to do counterattack Warp Prism drops to successfully fend it off. Oh my god, you know what? Can I just cut the Q&A and put it at the start of the daily? This is way better. Ugh. Oh, cool. One last question. Yeah. One more question. From Sergeant Explorer. Oh, Sergeant Ponerer. Excuse me. Forgive me for my illiteracy. Just ask a simple question. What is the proper reaction to Terrans abusing their superior speed to pick off nexuses and run? There are a number of other questions about this moment in gameplay. And we even have a nice example here at the 12-minute mark. Boink. Holy bold, BabyKnight going for here. What about the Terran player just rushing and killing this nexus? This is one of the reasons why people like this one Colossus, then straight to Zealot leg speed play. It leaves our robotics facility open to build lots of observers. We actually have one here. There's another observer here. The best way to deal with Terran players running in and sniping is just to have a keen eye on them, just to be checking them out. And often you'll see players even just build another observer right now. Parting builds so many observers. And when we somehow have to start worrying about this stuff, the best way to deal with it is just to have a huge army nearby. There's nothing bad about losing a Nexus if we kill off half his army. And that is why BabyKnight boldly expands here. And because he lost that observer, BabyKnight can easily rebuild another one if he wants to, or he can move this observer back, or he can just elect to say, yeah, you know what, I'm feeling like I have such a huge army I don't even need to worry about this stuff. Like this, BabyKnight has no vision, but he's just bouncing left and right. So the answer would be observers and baiting. Nexuses are sometimes the juiciest bait ever. They're like the begging strips for Terran. That is going to wrap up Day 9 Daily number 525. I hope you had yourself a fun time. I certainly did. The Fun Day Monday will return eventually. I am just kind of slammed with all the worky things going on as of late. So, tragically, we will have to just stick with 5 dailies a week in the coming future of just awesome back-to-back games. Yay! We're going to be doing Scarlet versus Nurchio tomorrow. A stupid cool Zerg vs. Zerg. We will be doing subscriber mono battles on Sunday. On Wednesday morning, we'll be doing some Iron Squid casting. Ooh! It's going to be fun. I'll also be doing some more Iron Squid casting throughout the month of December. NASL coming up on December 7th and 8th out in Long Beach. I hope you attend. And I'm even doing a Team Fortress 2 charity match on Saturday morning. I gotta start training, I know. Of course, because all the things are going on, just go to day9.tv, because no matter how much I remember to say it on the show, I always forget stuff. And you can trust that the website is accurate. Yay! Until then, may you have yourself a wonderful Monday, and may your Tuesday be filled with kick-assery. Bye! Bye! Thank you, BabyKnight, for being so cool. Yeah! Oh, yeah! Oh, 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 oh.